Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Top 10 edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day, and check out our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. And check out our Altar Sleeve. Support the show by using the code MAGICMICS at checkout for 5% off anything in the store. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Ruben Bressler.
How you doing?
Well, everything is lovely. It is a wonderful day to look at some awesome artwork.
Yeah, this is an interesting episode that we've decided to record of the art so far from the core sets. So I am excited to hear what your choices are as well.
Yeah, I think that this is a new thing that we can go back and look at, that like sort of like how we do retro sets, but doing them in the context of art might be really, really neat. To see how Magic art has changed over the years is really cool too. I'm excited about this episode.
Yeah, it's different. And it was also really difficult. Oh my God. Because like there's so many different kind of art styles. You know, you can argue X versus Y and then all the variants and then the super special showcases. And it took a minute. That's all I'm saying. It took a minute, but it was sweet. And we also begin with our choice of the top comment from last week in a segment we call Honorable Mention, where Ruben will tell us who was the most eloquent, letting us know what card we did not choose as one of our top 10 sea creatures. Ruben?
Well, I got called out. And if I get called out, I want to reward the call out. So the winner this week is the Hackbert from our very own Discord, who writes, "The audacity. After Leviathan made your list of top 10 control finishers, I absolutely cannot believe you left this, one of the biggest and oldest sea creatures in Magic, off your list. It was the obvious 10-10 at number 10. Plus, it's just good Magic Mike's nostalgia time."
Yep, the classic Leviathan originally showed up in the dark of all places for 4 blue and 5 generic mana. So 9 mana for your 10-10 creature Leviathan. It has trample, and it enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your tap step. That's tap step. If you, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice 2 islands, and if you do, you untap it, and it can't attack unless you sacrifice 2 islands. So,
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was a finisher on Ruben's top 10 finishers.
This was my number 2 control finisher like 4 years ago when we did this episode. Because it is the classic. It's like, this is the biggest thing that was printed at the time. It was the largest creature that had been printed.
Yes, it was. But no,
so it was a top 10 finisher, but not a top 10 sea creature. Sad.
Yeah.
Wow.
True.
Wow.
Had it backwards.
Well, we appreciate you, Hackbert, for being a part of the show. Please contact us on social media or the Discord, I'm sure, for your prize. Thanks again to CoolStuffInc.com for sponsoring this giveaway. Or stay tuned for our top 10 list this week, and maybe you can win next week's free gift certificate, because it's time to talk about artworks that are cool and fun and neat and exciting. And for our number 10, Nerd Girl, let's kick us off. What you got?
All right, so my number 10 is a super easy one to introduce because it actually doesn't really have any text, but I think is one of the coolest cards printed in a while, and I absolutely adore it. And that is the new fish token. Oh my gosh, this art is spectacular. He's not in the water. He's actually like in a little globe. So it's like a floating fish tank, which kind of reminds me, if anybody plays World of Warcraft, you can actually have fish pets, and it does follow you around in a little floating blob of water. But it's just the cutest thing ever. And getting killed by these is horrifying and yet amazing. And I love this token. It definitely is in my top 10 for both sets, hands down, easy.
Look, exotic pets is like just OP. Like, Nerd Girl, you got to help me with this limited format. I've never seen anything like it. What the hell is going on in Streets of New Capenna Limited? I don't get it. The fish are OP. They're straight OP. I've won multiple games with these stupid fish.
They're great. Yeah,
well, it works.
The blue lockdown spell. This is the best lockdown spell we've seen in a long time, because just the fish can just win games. It's so aggravating.
Sleep with the Fishes is 4 mana, get your best creature off the board, and make an unblockable 1/1. Then exotic pets, like you said, will just kill people by itself. The Kraken, I completely missed the Kraken when the set first came out, and I was like, wait a second, there's a blue desecration demon? Why didn't anybody tell me because we all thought Shakedown Heavy was going to be the Desecration Demon of the set. Turns out it's Reservoir Kraken. And then I also really enjoy Expendable Lackey in this limited format in the Casualty deck, because it's a 1/1 for 1. Get rid of it immediately and turn it into a fish. We love it.
Nice.
Yep. Works well with Casualty.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Nerd Girl, I'm gonna need some serious help, some guides, some walkthroughs. Like, I just this format, it's perplexing. It's killing me. It's weird. Yeah. It's just weird. All right, Ruben, what's number 10?
Number 10 just makes me happy to look at. We talked about this art, and we're like, why is this art in the set? Where did this reference come from? Like, the rest of the set kind of is coherent together. We've got like some Great Gatsby feeling. We got the party. We got the underworld. We got some stuff. Some Roaring 20s, some glitz, and we got some glamour. And then we've got We're Back, a Dinosaur story, just kind of out of nowhere, with Topiary Stomper. But both arts are great, but I'm going to go with the regular pack art by Robin Olausen. Topiary Stomper is a 3-mana 4/4 plant dinosaur with vigilance that when it enters the battlefield, you search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. And then Topiary Stomper can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands. Robin Olausen is a artist who's mostly known for like haunting, creepy kind of feeling. But this is just fun and weird and goofy, and I love it.
Yeah, plant dinosaur has got to be one of my favorite creature types ever. Feels like a game of Smash Up. If you guys have ever played that game is super awesome. Yeah, this is a fun card. It's seeing some play in Constructed. I actually, we did a tournament yesterday for the D-Gens, and it was like my only loss was someone playing this card, and it was super fun.
Nice. I've got to play this card a little bit in Constructed. It's been very sweet at times. The ability to have something that's low mana cost, but high power and toughness you can use for fighting things, which is what I've done with a lot of this. And then you just get to 7 lands and it's got vigilance. Why does it have vigilance? I don't know, but it's a giant hedge that comes alive and kills you. And I agree. I like the original pack art a little bit better, which is great. So for my number 10 here, I was like, where do we start criteria, right? How do we really figure out what we want and not? And so I'm going to all these artworks. I'm going to pick artworks that just like really stand out to me. I really feel like, whoa, I was really impressed with everything going on there. I think this artwork is absolutely incredible. Well, the way they do it, the style they've done it is just incredible on Shattered Seraph. Shattered Seraph is done by, Aaron Vest. Did this one. This was the special foil etched version, which I think is absolutely incredible. For those who don't know, this is a black, blue, white, and 4 generic mana, so 7 mana for a 4/4. It is a common angel rogue with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you may gain 3 life, and it has that magical ability of 2 generic mana and exile it. A land now gains tap, add white, blue, or black until you cast it, and you can cast it from exile. So that's great.
Very cool.
But the artwork is just...
I hadn't seen this artwork yet.
And you said you picked the alternate art, right?
Mm-hmm. The foil from Aaron Vest.
Yeah. Only 2 arts from Aaron Vest in Magic, the other one being Obscura Interceptor.
Which is also
both
incredible.
Of them very haunting and creepy. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, this was just so unique and fun.
I like that there's the little splash of color, and I like that how everything is sort of not pixelated, but you can see everything kind of broken down into very sharp lines, but still looks weirdly smooth and rounded out. So it's very unique. And I think it goes very well with the borders that they put on these alternates.
Yeah, it really just works. And the sort of the verticality of it is really nice. And the shattered part there is like, what are you looking at kind of, but it's, it's exploding and what it can mean and all that stuff. Sweet. All right, let's move on here to number 9. Nerd Girl, what's number 9?
Okay, so I didn't really talk about it too much at the start. I didn't do any of the crazy alternates or anything like that. And part of the reason for it is because we get a lot of alters that are like extended or come in these special things. And those are always like cherished and very exciting when we see all these new crazy arts. But sometimes I feel like it takes away from the regular art. We're not going to get an extended art version of this card that I'm about to say. So people aren't going to look super closely at it, and you're going to miss how badass I think that this card actually is, if you take a close look at the art, and that's Elegant Entourage. For those of you guys who are constructed players, you will never see this card, but in limited, it's quite good, I can assure you. Elegant Entourage is a 4-mana elf druid with Alliance. It's a 4/4 that says whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, another creature gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. But can you imagine being the mob boss with these two badass looking chicks sitting outside your door protecting you with these giant weapons?
Yeah.
Holy smokes, this art is awesome, and these ladies are smoking hot.
I mean, you got us there. I mean, that would get a Twitch violation right there. So I want you to know.
It's a low cut shirt. I'm
very
a fan. I feel bad having this one not be on my list now. The halberds are nice. Guarding the door is, I mean, this is such a mood, is what the kids call this.
Yes.
I love this art.
Yeah,
with the slinky dresses.
Oh, the slinky dresses, the stained glass pushing like the greenish hue of light there. And then, of course, it's a green card, so it all works together. That's a fantastic choice. Ruben, what's number 9?
Still thinking about Elegant Entourage. My number 9 is also 3 generic and a green. And it's my first entry from Neon Dynasty. And this is another card that you're not going to play in Constructed because this card's kind of bad in Limited, too. I mean, I've played it in Limited. But you're not always going to play it. I just love this little dude that is on the art for Harmonious Emergence. Harmonious Emergence is 3 generic and a green for an aura that enchants a land you control. Enchanted land is a 4/5 green spirit creature with vigilance and haste. It's still a land. If the enchanted land would be destroyed, instead you sacrifice Harmonious Emergence and the land gains indestructible until the end of the turn. It's a spirit with vigilance and haste. You don't have any other description. What Simon Dominic did here, though, was hold my beer. I'm just going to make the wildest thing anyone has ever seen and made a giant river salamander thing with 6 eyes and like wing tentacles and also some tadpole friends behind it, swimming through the roots of Beseju. And this thing is just the coolest, weirdest, most fun art that there is.
Yeah, so if you look really close, you see all these weird blocks and like pixels in it, which is really cool for Kamigawa, which I think is awesome. And it's interesting that you see all of those next to the very smooth and rounded out fish. I think it makes for really nice contrast.
Oh yeah, the whole motif of the old and the new was the thing that kind of drove Kamigawa, and just made it so sweet. Just kind of, you know, put those two things together. The contrast is so bright. You're like, wow, that's so cool, and it just works so well together. And it's the weirdest damn thing you can possibly imagine. So for my number 9, continuing on my variants, because I'm that guy, 100%. This is a card that I like. I want this card to be good. I don't think it is, but I still love it anyway. I got to play it once and saw it be really sweet and limited, which was fun as well. But damn, when I was like, okay, this card is cool. I'm happy with the card. The card's fine. The main, you know, set version of it is cool. But then they decided to make a special version just for the bundle. And Mysterious Limousine has never looked better than when Hector Ortiz decided to illustrate it. It looks amazing. There's this really nice sort of purple wing that comes off the door. There's the energy that's coming off where the wheels would go. Like, it's clearly like a vehicle going to take you somewhere. It looks sweet as hell. And Mysterious Limousine is 2 white, 3 generic mana for a 4/4 rare artifact vehicle. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 other target creature until Mysterious Limousine leaves the battlefield. If a creature is put into exile this way, return each other card. Exile with Mysterious Limousine to the battlefield under its owner's control. You crew it for 2. And it's funny because Arena will ask you, do you want to exile your own? Are you sure you want to exile your own creature? And I'm like, yes, I do. Yeah. Because that's when the fun starts.
Might as well ask. I think that the gap between the art, for no offense to Dan Scott, who's a fabulous artist, this Hector Ortiz art is a lot more interesting and entertaining to me than the pack version of the Mysterious Limousine.
Yeah.
Both are very good, but yeah, you're right. The Hector Ortiz version is stands out.
so I'm not seeing I found an art. I'm not sure it's the same one, just 'cause I don't see the artist's name. Is it the one that has like a pink fairy wing on the door? Okay.
Yep.
Just making sure I'm looking at the right one. Yeah. This is really interesting. I think that the fairy wing, I mean, I get that it's got the doors that go up, you know.
Right.
But it almost makes it look like the car could or should be able to fly once it's equipped, which I think is pretty interesting. I think that this would have been a very cool art for a flying vehicle. But yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, let's move on here to
Yep, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say let's move on here to number 8. Nerd Girl, what's number 8? I wait till you start drinking something before I ask you, because that's how
no, it's fine. Totally
it's professional.
Cool. When did you become a waiter?
Right. Hey, is everything all right?
They wait until you put a giant scoop. Yeah. Okay. So to talk about, we talked a little bit about sea creatures, and we brought up reservoir kraken, and that is actually my number 8.
Ooh,
so
wow.
There's a site that I found that I'll share with you guys. It's mtgpix.com, and this shows whatever the best premium version of arts that they have. So if you guys use the site, you can check out a lot of your favorite arts, and they pull up high resolutions, much better than you're going to find on Google. It's a really cool site. And if you get a good look at Reservoir Kraken, because again, this is a card that has a lot going on. It's kind of farther away. It's not super close up. So you see the tiny angel and the little person underneath, and it looks like the Kraken's coming up over this big dam wall, like a big dam, not a dam wall, but like a dam or a wall.
That's a damn big wall right there.
Damn.
That's a damn wall.
So he was being held back into this dam area, it looks like, and it's just super cool and unique. And I also love sea creatures. The other neat thing is that you can actually see its mouth underneath, which, a lot of people can't see octopus little chompy bits. That's the scary part, what you see in the movies. And I love that they included this, and I would have never seen that in the actual card art.
Scale angels.
That's a scale Aven, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, scale Aven. Okay, it's fair. I think it looks great, though. I mean, it's cool. The sense of scale is terrific here, and it's clearly a giant monster that you should be afraid of, and it's generally a giant monster I'm afraid of.
And it makes those fish that we love so much.
Those fish are amazing. I got to tell you, I had no idea how powerful unblockable fish were, but they run a format. They secretly run a format. All right. Ruben, what's number 8?
My number 8 is a card that I play a lot of in Limited, and I have the pack art is very good, but I did not see the alternate art, which I don't know the printing of these or how to get these, but the art is done by Hisashi Momose, who is primarily a Duel Masters artist, but did a lot in Kamigawa, not a lot, but did a couple pieces in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, one of them being the Wandering Emperor, and the other one being my number 8, which is Moon Snare Specialist.
Nice.
Moon Snare Specialist is 3 generic into blue for a 2/2 human ninja with ninjutsu of 2 generic into blue. And when it enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. I really like the art, the alternate art on this Moon Snare Specialist, because it has those extending knife ropes that Gideon sometimes uses.
Yeah.
And you have like a really cool sense of scale. You've got the Dutch angle. It looks like a comic book.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Yeah, I like when they do the more Japanese style art in Magic, like the Japanese planeswalkers that they did that were more anime or chibi type versions. It's really interesting. Now, I like the regular art because I love the bright colors of it as well, but you get to see a lot of the same color theme here in this one in comparison. It's almost like they made that work together, where it's like the similar theme, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking about variants before the show and how they don't sell as well as just sort of the normal versions. But I got to tell you, when it comes to like my arena, I went a little hog wild when it came to Kamigawa and the card art styles or whatever, because they were just so damn cool and interesting. And I was like, if I can use this in any way in a constructed deck, I want the super cool version of it, because they were all so neat. And this is a good example of just that. All right. So for my number 8, there is a magical website called artofmtg.com. And it was where I found a lot of these pieces. And this is a card that, like, I enjoyed it and I was playing with it and it's fine and I thought it was okay. But when you see the full-blown version and you see how, like, cool and honestly, the word that comes to me is crisp, because the way the character is completely outlined in Pyre Sledge Arsonist, this is from Streets of New Capenna, is just incredible. I think this Kekai Kotakai or Kotakai, forgive me. Either way, Pyre Sledge Arsonist is an incredible picture. It's got a Viashino against sort of a mountain exploding fire background. It looks cool as hell. It's a red and 2 generic mana for a 2/2 uncommon Viashino Shaman. And for 1 generic mana tap, it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of permanents you sacrificed this turn. Good and limited.
This card ruined me in a couple of limited games. The treasure deck in particular, being able to get brutal, sacrifice 4 treasures, make a thing that makes some creatures, sack those creatures, and suddenly this thing's dealing 5 just for a mana. Very annoying, very good. And also, cool dudes don't look at explosions. No, and we've got a cool Viashino with the hammer not looking at the thing you lit on fire.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it's a little different when it happens randomly, but it's a little less surprising when you're the one that did it, and you could tell he's definitely the one that did it.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Let's move on here to number 7. Nerd Girl, what you got?
All right, so I have a beautiful, beautiful piece from Kamigawa. I adore this art. I thought it was something I was going to like when I saw it originally, just like in the tiny little picture from the actual card spoiler. But if you take a look at just the art on its own, Assassin's Ink, one of the premium limited removal spells here from Kamigawa, is an absolutely gorgeous card. Assassin's Ink is 2 colorless black for an instant that says this spell costs 1 less to cast if you control an artifact and 1 less if you control an enchantment, and it says destroy target creature or planeswalker at instant speed. It's a premium card, so it saw a lot of play. But once you take a good close look at the actual art, it's the tattoos from the assassin coming off of their body to do the assassination, and you can see that the colors meld together and form like a creature that then strangle or kill the target in some way, and then I assume it goes back onto his body and like turns into the ink again, and it is amazing. It's flavorful. I love it. Everything about it.
It's super cool. Like the bright neon that they got to play around with in Kamigawa was amazing and really showcased what was unique and fun about the set. And this is a good example of that.
Yeah. The sort of deal that Satoru Umezawa made with the spirits of the spirit realm and the kami to be able to use tattoo magic, I guess. You also see this kind of motif on his legendary creature, and in this, but you don't see the activity of it. You don't see the tattoos doing the dirty work like you do in Assassin's Ink, and it is great
and terrifying. Yes,
absolutely terrifying.
My tattoo will come and eat you.
And also, it's like, where's the murder weapon? Can't prove anything. Like like if I stab you with a ice, or what was it?
It was an ice pick.
No, the icicle.
Or icicle.
Stab you with an icicle, it'll melt. Where's the murder weapon? Same with the tattoos.
There you go. All right. Ruben, what's number 7?
Number 7 is my favorite version of a card that has like 15 arts, I think. They did a very cool thing with Streets of New Capenna where the buy box promo had a different art for each different type of language. And my personal favorite is the Italian Gala Greeters by Caterina Layden, which has... I gotta
find this one. Okay, here it is.
Yeah. So Caterina Ladon did the Italian one, which is Comitato di Benvenuto al Gala, which is a colorless and a green for a 1/1 elf druid with Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Either put a +1/+1 counter on Gala Greeters, make a tapped treasure token, or gain 2 life.
Well, now that I've found it, it's really cool.
Now that you found it, link it in the chat for me.
I can do that here. I can also do that. I also was very close to picking a different Gala Greeters, Salutadores de la Gala, which is the Spanish version, which also has some great colors in it. But the Italian one speaks to my heart.
Yep, there's that one. Scryfall is a wonderful tool, and will help you find these various ones as you kind of click around and find them. But yeah, it looks fantastic. I mean, this gives you that real party atmosphere. It's got that jester vibe. It's got the really cool patterns, the diamond patterns, which are nice. And I think it's sweet.
I had no idea that there were so many different arts that were language specific.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that they did specifically for Gala greeters. Yeah. They haven't done that. This is I want them to do it more. But this is a sort of a test balloon, and I think it works really well.
Because normally they only do it for Japanese cards. They've had Japanese versions of stuff, and that's the only other, version they've had of stuff. But speaking of the other version of stuff, and not choosing the showcase version, because I think the regular version is even sweeter / more impressive / hot damn, this is an incredible illustration that makes me feel things. And that is me being in awe of Randy Vargas, because mother of God, have you seen Light Paws, Emperor's Voice? We're talking the regular version. It's just gorgeous. And the light that comes streaming through, and it's that soft light, and it's got those light highlights, and doing cloth is so hard, and he makes it look so fantastic. Light Paws Emperor's Voice is a white and generic mana for a 2/2 rare legendary Fox Advisor. When an aura enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to that aura, and with a different name than each aura you control. Put that card onto the battlefield attached to Light Paws Emperor's Voice and shuffle.
Yeah, so you picked the regular version, right? The
regular version, yes.
Yeah, the lighting is amazing. I love the color pops of red throughout, because it's kind of muted color-wise. I think the light itself actually makes it look muted, so then the color pop just actually adds so much more to it.
Your eye.
Very, very cool card. The angel staircases that you see here with the light passing through and picking up some of the dust particles. Very difficult to pull off. Not a lot of artists try to do it. And there is a very specific spot where the light is coming from in this art, which is also not something that we see in magic art a ton. It's very difficult to get that kind of scale and that kind of perspective in a very small frame. And so to not only do it, but then get it to translate to such a small picture is very, very unique.
It just makes you feel like, to me, it makes you feel like you're sort of in the room, even like you've been in rooms that are they're dark, and they got that sun shining through, and they got that kind of dusty, stuff's kind of floating or whatever. Like, it's absolutely fantastic. All right, let's move on here to number 6. Nerd Girl, what's number 6?
All right, number 6. This is going to be another draft card, but it won't disappoint. It's again a very playable card, and as you'll see from all of my choices, including the Inked Assassin and the last choice from number 7, is that these bright colors from Kamigawa are just absolutely out of this world. And I think a lot of people don't get to appreciate all of them because some of them are on cards that you just don't see in Constructed a ton. And that is certainly the case with the Arrest in the format. I lost my page.
Oh, no.
The Intercessor's Arrest, the aura for 3 mana.
Yes.
It is I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
Enchanted permanent, and then you can enchant any permanent, and a permanent can't attack, block, or crew vehicles, which is very important. Its activated abilities can't be activated unless they are mana abilities. And once you look really closely at the art or pull it up as just the art itself and not the card, is you see the samurai's sword has all of these amazing banners or flag looking strips of paper that are coming off. They're super bright. And it's actually got one of the rat gang. I don't think it's actually Greasefang, but it's one of
Greasefang, but it's one of his henchmen.
I mean, it might be.
It might be Greasefang. That's what I was thinking. It looks super cool. Like that whole like samurai sword into like the scrolls is so rad. Like that's just anime all over it.
Yep. And then the sword, if you look closely at the rat's sword, it's got like that purple electrical field in it. And so does his armor. The color is amazing. Look at the wheels. The wheels are like the electric energy from the vehicle. Like it's got so much going on, and the purple and the yellow really like clash together very well. I love the bright colors here.
So cool.
I didn't realize what was happening in this artwork, and I love it. Very Azorius feeling, using the law, a physical manifestation of the law, to arrest. And the sort of waviness and movement is very similar. You ever play a video game called Journey?
I've heard of it.
There's a video game called Journey where you play a spirit traveling through the spirit realm, and your goal is to make your scarf longer and longer and longer.
Oh, nice.
Without giving too much away in the video game. This gives me those sort of vibes where you sort of have this trailing energy coming behind you.
So cool. All right, Ruben, what's number 6?
Number 6 makes me so happy. I don't know why he looks like this, but the Rhino Warrior token from Streets of New Capenna that you can get to from Workshop Warchief or Vivian of the Hunt or Titan of Industry or Killer Service or Crash the Party. He's just so doofy. Well, look at him. Look how doofy he looks. He's got a vest. He's got some pinstripe brown pants tucked into his boots. He's got a club with some nails in it. And most importantly, he's got a buckler shield that is a manhole cover, which is absolutely incredible.
This is Zoltan Boros, right? Right.
Zoltan Boros, yes.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. And hell, if anything, a really interesting token creature to make. You don't see a lot of 4/4 tokens being made. Honestly, you see a lot of 3/3 tokens being made.
Yeah.
But this is a chunky boy right here. He chunks.
I like the attention to detail. He's actually wearing a very similar outfit to the Workshop Warchief itself. He's got the sleeves are rolled up. This is what I expect some sort of like, enforcer type character to look like. He's got the vest where you can tell they work for somebody with money, but they themselves don't necessarily have a bunch. Like that's the outfit and everything I would expect from a character like this. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Workshop Warchief and the crew. Like,
yeah,
go get stuff done.
This is definitely one of the union. One of the Teamsters coming in after the Workshop Warchief has clocked out.
So for my number 6 here, this card is super sweet. And, when they originally announced Kamigawa, I, of course, lost my mind. And that's cool and all. And this is not the showcase version. This is the normal, regular version of the card, or the extended art if you'd like. But, they said, Kamigawa, it's coming, and they kind of gave that kind of like neonish type feel to it or whatever. And they talked about how there's going to be like a lot of technology and how that was going to work. And I was like, man, how are you going to really represent the technology of how Kamigawa is, and how do you meld it with what it used to be, and how do you bridge those worlds? And they showed how you bridge those worlds with the reality chip. And this is the main deck version from Campbell White. This shows a temple, and it's kind of connecting via some lines there. So there's clearly some exchange of information. It's digital looking information, but it still has that old school Kamigawa feel. The reality chip, if you don't know, is blue and generic mana for a rare legendary artifact creature equipment jellyfish. Yes, really. It's an 0/4. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and as long as it is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library, and you reconfigure, aka you attach it to something, for a blue and 2 generic mana.
I hate losing to this card. Like, if you're going to lose to a card that doesn't really do anything itself, it's going to be this.
Yeah. The detail on this is insane.
Just incredible.
I'm looking at the MTG Picks close-up of this. The detail is
just
spectacular. I could spend an hour looking at this. This is incredible.
Honestly, all of the jellyfish art is always very good, because I feel like jellyfish work very well with art, which is why you'll see large scale paintings and things of jellyfish, because there's a lot you can do with their like structure, their shape, the curves, the lines of like the tentacles, and also the coloring of jellyfish in nature is just so good. I think it translates very well into art.
There you go. So again, this to me was like, as soon as I saw this piece of artwork, I'm like, oh my God, Kamigawa is just going to be unbelievable. And turns out it was. Let's move on to number 5. Nerd Girl, what's number 5?
So I share my number 5 with Ruben.
Yeah,
for different reasons.
I was just gonna say we share the card, but I believe we don't share the art.
Yep. So let's go ahead and introduce the card, and then we'll look at both arts.
Great. Our number 5 is Elspeth Resplendent. 3 generic white gets you a legendary creature Elspeth comes in with 5 loyalty and has a +1 to go up to 6 immediately. Choose up to 1 target creature, put a +1/+1 counter and a counter from among flying, first strike, lifelink, and vigilance on it. It also has a -3 that allows you to look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield with a shield counter on it, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then ultimates for only 7 to create 5 3/3 white angel creature tokens with flying. The art that I have selected is the Art Deco inspired art by Tom Roberts, who has only done 5 arts for Magic the Gathering, including 3 of the Planeswalkers from New Capenna.
Oh, wow.
So we'll take a look at that. I actually picked the base art straight out of the pack, but Ruben, why don't you tell us why you picked the Art Deco version?
Yeah, I wanted to pick the Art Deco version because New Capenna, we definitely got the feeling of the 1920s, the roaring 20s, right before the stock market crash. We got all of that feeling, and the Art Deco movement was a huge part of that. And Tom Roberts, whom I don't know anything about as an artist other than the 5 pieces from Magic the Gathering, really nailed it. This art feels like it could be, this isn't just in the style of Art Deco. This piece feels like it could be an Art Deco piece, which is kind of impossible to pull off on a Magic the Gathering card.
Yeah, I think it's weird to me. The detail of the things around it seem more vibrant than like the face, which I don't actually think is a bad thing. I think it's drawing a lot of attention to the theme, and it does a lot for what I think we're trying to do here in Capenna, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think my favorite sort of the way the way that this artwork defines Elspeth's face in very few lines, strokes. You know what I mean? Like there's very how do you put it? They're very it's not important. They're very
muted.
Something like that, you know what I'm saying? I think he was very purposeful in the way that it's just a little bit there, and like, you know, the Art Deco bit where you just need a touch of whatever it is you're trying to get across, and it comes across that much more because your mind fills in the rest. You don't need every single pore on her face or whatever. You just like, oh wow, it looks great.
I think it's very clear that this was also hand painted and gilded with shiny metallic paint. And I just think it's a very cool, it's not something we see a lot with Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
I picked the main stock version that you guys can get out of the packs as normal. And the reason I picked it is because they did 2 separate versions, the regular one that kind of cuts off at the waist, and then they have a long one, which I assume is for like the extended art for like, or what, you know, whatever the artist had done. But the coloring on this is absolutely beautiful with the chandeliers, even the color of her glass that's on the table with the purple liquid inside. Another thing that I really, really enjoyed about this one is she's wearing armor, which still looks very elegant and sleek and very 1920s, but also her like shawl / like half cape is angel wings, which is super insane for this set with so much, you know, angel synergy. And I'm wondering, like, is that what happens to some of the angel wings when we make the dust, or like there's a lot going on here, and I'm just super here for it. Even the hairstyle, very beautiful.
I mean, Anna Steinbauer is just such a master. She's
I was just gonna say,
so good.
Yeah, you could do an entire top 10 of Anna Steinbauer arts. I mean, Liliana the Last Hope comes to mind as one of her most iconic pieces. They give her planeswalkers all the time for exactly this reason.
Oh yeah, I mean, for example, Blessed Spirits was another favorite of mine from hers.
Oh right,
which was
incredible. She does creepy children really well. She does
creepy children great, absolutely terrific. So for my number 5, this is another one of those artworks that is very similar in some ways to the Light Paws artwork, where, you know, this isn't, you know, this feels painted. Definitely painted. This feels real. This feels like they really wanted to play with the light and the shadow. They wanted to be able to tell a story, which is what is really cool and unique about sagas, and that you can really try to kind of weave, if you will, you know, different parts of what the card is talking about or the card is trying to focus on. And so when you take a look at Lindsay Look's Azusa's Mini Journeys, It is absolutely gorgeous. Like, it is unbelievable. Like, I know from watching many art shows over the years how unbelievably difficult it is to do clothing, to do cloth and clothing and light hitting cloth and clothing, and to know that there's a light source and the brightness and the shadows going down, and at the same time you have all of these little like story bits and pieces all over the actual garment itself, and it's just incredible. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever looked at this super close up. I think I knew that it had like some like plant type things on the actual garment itself, but looking closer at it, you get to see a lot of the Kamigawa art, and it's got the whole landscape. There's a lot going on this actual dress. And this is what I could picture being the height of fashion or some sort of nobility type outfit. And I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah. If you want to challenge yourself as an artist, try to paint something semi-translucent like milk or cloth. Lindsay Look, a previous winner of our favorite art of the year, her Sublime Epiphany was our favorite art of the year last year, 2 years ago.
She won awards for that too.
Oh, for sure. And this is another example of just her prowess over a canvas.
Yeah, this is like a master at work. You don't just randomly make this. You have to have years and years and years of experience. Absolutely fantastic. Let's move on here to number 4. Nerd Girl, what's number 4?
All right, my number 4 is by far, off the top of my head, I cannot think of one in the last couple of years. This is my favorite land art that has been printed in a long time. I don't know why. When I saw this, it just kind of spoke to me. And this is another land from Kamigawa, from Sam Burley, the abandoned mire. Okay. The Takanuma abandoned mire. When you take a close look at it, you see like this sort of marshy area with some low grass. It's kind of thin, but you can see these beautiful flowers kind of spread throughout. But also, if you take a good close look at the art, you can see those same cubes that are so common in all of the Kamigawa art that we're starting to see. And it's just super interesting what they did with the backdrop here. But again, my favorite is just those beautiful flowers that pop out. And I just was very drawn to this. I could see having this as a print or an art that I would purchase.
Oh, yeah. This is one of those artworks that the longer you look at it, the more little tiny things that just kind of pop out. And you're like, oh, look at that background. Oh, the background's kind of got that blockiness too. And little streams of light coming through. That's super dope.
Yeah. Takanuma was once much more populated. I think it was where all the Nezumi lived in the old Kamigawa. Now it's been kind of abandoned because of the war, I want to say. I think that one of the big battles of the Spirit War was what happened in Takanuma, which is why there's so much kami activity there. I want to say. And now it's an abandoned mire, which is great for plant growth. Not a whole bunch of people walking around, makes for great ghost lilies.
I will take a ghost lily. All right. Cool. Ruben, what's number 4?
My number 4 just brings me joy. And it's a nice card title. It's a nice motif. It's part of a story spotlight. And there's nothing quite like thinking back to when we were young. When We Were Young is 3 generic and a white for a uncommon instant from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Up to 2 target creatures, each get +2/+2 until end of turn. If you control an artifact and an enchantment, those creatures also gain lifelink until end of turn. We're telling a story here of Kaito Shizuki and the Wanderer growing up together in the safe confines of a royal farm establishment, or not farm, a royal
kind of a palace or whatever
palace situation. That's the word I'm looking for. We've got the rock garden in the background, a couple of Raito lanterns, beautiful trees, cherry blossoms, and just kids having fun running in flip-flops. Not great, but kids having fun on a bridge.
And I never really noticed before. I don't think I've ever read the flavor text. Since Imperial custom strictly forbade the Emperor to reveal her name, even to Kaito, her closest childhood friend, she had to suffer him calling her, quote, your emperorness for much of their shared youth.
That sounds like a thing a kid would say. Your emperorness.
I like that they brought down the costumes or the clothing that they wear. It still looks very similar to them, like their sense of style or whatever. I do like that was changed. They don't look exactly the same, but they do look like themselves, and that's really neat. And then you got the pops of pink in the background, which we tend to see in a lot of Japanese art, which I always really, really enjoy.
Nice. So for my number 4, let me tell you something. Niels Ham. Niels Ham is a hell of an artist. This guy, he makes creepy, he makes funny, he makes weird and silly. I mean, just atmospheric as all hell. And just look at how cool and neat, just how much feeling you're getting from March of Otherworldly Light. Like that rabbit holding the thing, and there's a little pot up in the sky, and there's a little face over there, and it's glowing, and there's that person hanging on the top. This is the standard version, not the showcase version of March of Otherworldly Light, and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. I love this. I mean, it's so fun.
It's neat.
It's irreverent.
Yeah. You're having a good time. It's awesome.
There's a lot going on with the bunny lizard, the the floating lantern is just super. It pops out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It shows a lot where you have this kind of sort of muted background, but there's still a ton going on, and getting to see all of the different characters. It feels a little like Spirited Away to me.
Just gonna say, it is a lot like a Miyazaki cell from a movie like that. It's just irreverent enough for you to be like, what is happening? I feel like we're not in our realm of existence, and that's what you want when you're touching into the spirit realm of Kamigawa, for sure.
And I think if we get to put Miyazaki in the same conversation as this piece, then like we're on the right track.
Sure, we did it.
That's fantastic. Let's move on here to our number 3. Nerd Girl, what's number 3?
My number 3, like, I tend to gravitate towards not necessarily the biggest, the flashiest, the mythics, but for this particular one, I really did. And for as good as all of the mythic Kamigawa dragons, I think this one stands out above the rest, and it's not particularly close. So big shout out to Chase Stone for making Yunji the Midnight Sky, the black spirit dragon from Kamigawa, 5-mana legendary spirit dragon with flying and menace. It's a 5/5. This is when it enters. When it dies, choose one. Each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life, or you can put a non-dragon creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, you lose 2 life. The art on this close up, now you can't really see, a little bit of the art is cut off in the actual card, but when you look at the full scale art as well, you can see there a little bit more of the Kamigawa buildings underneath. But even in the card art, you have these beautiful cherry blossoms that kind of coat and go with the color scheme of the dragon itself. And also its horns are somewhat transparent, which I found to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, you get all those different little elements, the cherry blossoms in particular, I think just kind of framing around the dragon, and then those horns that are kind of ethereal and electric, but that's what's happening on Kamigawa, and it's all together with a spirit. It's just, it's awesome.
The angle, once you get a perspective of where this camera angle is wild. And the sort of snaky slitheriness of the Kamigawa dragons. There was a key art that had all 5 of the dragons, and you sort of had that all these shoelaces intertwining kind of feel to it. And you really get that feeling of the Asian inspired like the Chinese river dragons from this Junji art.
Very nice. Ruben, what's number 3?
My number 3 is the last of the alternate arts I have on my list, but it really stuck out to me. And they only gave this artist, or they only required this artist to make 2 pieces for Kamigawa, but they were certainly quite special. They handed over a copy of The Wandering Emperor, as well as a copy of Tamio the Wound Sage, or Tamio Completed Sage, to Katsuya Terada. And this art done by Katsuya Terada for Tamio it's special. It's just out of this world. Tamio Completed Sage is completed, so which means that you can pay a green, a blue, or 2 life for that weird mana cost in the middle. If life was paid, the Planeswalker enters with 2 fewer loyalty counters. So it costs 5 mana, is a Tamio, and it has +1, tap up to 1 target creature or artifact. Doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. -X, exile target non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card. And -7, create Tamio's Notebook, a legendary colorless artifact token with spells you cast cost 2 generic less to cast, and tap, draw a card. The extended art of this, you can see the completed, like sort of the hand being decayed and necromantic energy and sort of sucking life out of either a being or what used to be a being in her left hand. There's just a lot going on in this art.
Yeah, I see that they also have like sleeves of it with the full art, which is, I'm glad that they included that, because you can almost see Tamio, is she sucking the life out of another thing to help with her completion? And also the thing that really stands out to me is the scroll and how it's sort of like segmented in certain parts to say that it's like being torn apart, which I think is really interesting.
Nice. Yeah, I believe this is Terada Katsuya, if at least
Yes.
That's what it's on the bottom, right?
Katsuya,
So,
well,
but
right.
they do the family name switch thing, depending on...
Well, yeah, it's... I mean, whichever is what it is.
Whichever one is correct, feel free. I'm terrible at that stuff, but
right.
All I know is this is an incredible artist who did a fantastic job, and the
best known in America probably as like if you think of a comic book Hellboy in your head, you might be thinking of this person's comic book Hellboy. They also did a lot of work for Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda Rise, where I knew this person.
They did a lot of, they did Iron Man. I think they did an Iron Man at one point. But I'm being told that the Japanese animated film Blood the Last Vampire is apparently this artist's prize piece.
Nice. Well, there you go. It is a fantastic piece, though, and super striking, and just another sort of reminder of how big a story moment it was that they took Tamio and, well, completed her. All right, let's go in here to number 3. This is just one of my favorite cards. This was I remember this specifically. This was the first artwork where I'm like, I'm going to have to go spend some money on some card styles on Arena, because this is just the coolest freaking artwork I've ever seen for a master removal spell I'm not only playing for a while, because Farewell, the showcase version, is the cutest, damn, most wonderful, joyous, I mean... innocent is all hell, so innocent as flying cranes, as little kids blowing I'm telling you, the dandelion thing, absolutely fantastic. And it's just the sweetest, cutest way you can ever say, get rid of everything you have right now. Thank you.
We talked about Fuzichoko on the show when we talked about their only other magic artwork, which was the chibi-ish version of Tamio the Moonsaint, or Tamio Field Researcher, or one of the Tamios.
Tamio Collector of Tales.
There we go. Collector of Tales. I knew it was one of those, which has a bunch of the scrolls around her.
Right. Which was also one of my favorites at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, 2 for 2 getting on the top 10 lists. That's a good batting average.
Let's go.
Yeah, this art is super adorable. I randomly saw it. This art is on Arena, I believe. And I just happened to see it offhand. And when I went to PAX East, CGP bought me a copy of this as a present. Just because it was art that stood out to me so much. And I'm not a huge, I want to collect altars and get these things. I'm more, let's play the cheapest version of whatever the card is. But this one stood out to me, and enough to where I was, very drawn to it.
And that's what I was talking about. Like, I saw it, I'm like, man, all right, you did it. You made me spend money. I can't not have this version of this card. Thanks, bye. All right, let's move on here to number 2. Ruben, what's number 2?
Number 2, I was so tempted to, because it's been a number 7 on my list before, because it's a 7/7 for 7.
Of course.
But the more I looked at this, I was like, this is the best. I love this thing. I have to have it way higher on my list. Titan of Industry is my number 2. Just the pack version, everybody.
Yeah.
Lucas Staniak, who I don't really know of doing a ton of stuff. Looks like he did Galvanic Relay. Not a ton.
So is
A
it
couple
Soko's
lands,
on?
galvanic relay, Soken's.
Mhm.
But this Titan of Industry is insane. 4 generic green for a 7/7 elemental with reach and trample. When it enters the battlefield, you choose 2. Destroy an artifact or enchantment. Target player gains 5 life. Make that 4/4 green rhino creature token that I love so much, or put a shield counter on target creature you control. And it is a mythic from Streets of New Capenna. You look at the close-up of this and you get so many details in these buildings.
Amazing.
The buildings all folding in on each other like this is a scene from Inception or Doctor Strange. And if you look really close, there's actually a face. I didn't even realize there was a face on this card.
At the top.
Oh my God, there's a face on this card.
Yeah.
Wow.
The thing that makes me drawn to this card and this particular art is that it's a huge, tall building where you would expect your titans of industry to have their businesses. And the fact that this giant building with the top of the top is smashing everything around it is not, a coincidence.
Yeah.
Look, there was a movie, all right? Tom Hanks made it. It's called Big, all right? And in it, he is working at a toy company that are trying to make what essentially you would describe as transformers out of buildings. And it's a classic scene where he just goes, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. What's fun about a building? Well, this is what's fun about a building when it comes alive and destroys everything. This card is also fantastic, super sick. I play this thing on fight rigging now these days, and it's a hug from Jesus. It's a hug.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, wait till I show you the Explorer Jun deck. Oh my God, it's amazing. Cool. Nerd Girl, what's number 2?
Number 2 is a card that I really do think I think the art is beautiful as is on the card, but I definitely recommend that we, go look at the full art version because Satoru Uezama, one of Anna Pavleva's cards, is insane. So this is one of the trademark rares from it, and this is a 3-mana ninja staple for a 2/4 human ninja. It says whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, put the rest in the bottom in any order. This ability triggers only once per turn, and each creature you have has ninjutsu for 4, 2, a blue, and a black. When you look at the close-up version of this, the colors are so much more vibrant, and the ink coming off of him is almost like a gas. And the reason I want you guys to look real closely is because you see his guards behind him are actually wearing gas masks. And I'm guessing that's because of the toxins that are constantly being leached from this guy as he walks around. And he himself also sort of has this KDA, like League of Legends Riot style, or maybe Jinx from Arcane style gas mask himself. And it's just so interesting. And the little teeth and the colors of the monsters that are coming off of him are amazing.
Just beautiful. It's super colorful, wonderful. I love the green on the right side and the pink on the left, and how that light kind of interacts is very cool.
Yeah. The color and the feeling here gives you gangster vibes. This is underground Neon Dynasty, running a Reckoner gang. This guy means business. I love the gas mask. Gives you that tech industrial feeling for sure. And his gas mask has jaws on it, so it looks like he's got a monster mouth. Not to mention the fact that he's got that weird eye dude, and another his tattoos are kind of creepy as heck also. What a really cool card. And I'm something of a ninja myself with this Magic card's ability.
That mask, the teeth, right, is a specific type of mask that we see a lot in Japanese culture.
Right, the
the Oni mask.
Yeah, the Oni stuff. Well, while I'm referencing old movies, we might as well reference old movies and TV shows and things I saw sort of growing up and noticing as I grew up in East Tennessee, the cultural capital of the world. When I first got to look at any sort of animes that showed up at the time, one of the first ones that I saw was Fist of the North Star. and it was cool and it was dynamic, and like the characters just pop right off the page. And they got Tetsuo Hara to do a version of Kaito Shizuki, and it is just brilliant and fun and cool, and like I just can't imagine using any other version than this one, because Fist of the freaking North Star, man. It's a black, a blue, a generic mana for a 3 loyalty planeswalker that says at the beginning of your end step, if Kaito Shizuki entered the battlefield this turn, he phases out. +1, you draw a card, then discard a card unless you attack this turn. -2, you make a 1/1 blue ninja creature token with this creature can't be blocked. And for -7, you get an emblem with, quote, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a blue or black creature card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. And it's sweet.
Yeah.
I mean,
you definitely get that manga feeling.
Yeah.
When you get the manga guy to come in and do one artwork, this is what you want.
All right.
The full art of this is kind of nuts, right? Like with the way the angles are, like the perspective on this just looks way wonky. And I think it adds a ton to it.
I'm reminded of Rob Liefeld, who isn't great necessarily with proportions and anatomy, but it doesn't matter because the way that he creates scenes and showcases heroes doing cool stuff looks awesome. Mm-hmm. So like it doesn't always have to fit the right anatomical bit to look like a fantastic image. So, all right, let's move on here to our number 1. Ruben, what's your number 1?
This was going to be my number 1 the whole time. I never took it down from number 1. I didn't even open up Scryfall to look at arts until I put this at my number 1. When we got this art before Kamigawa came out, I was shocked that this was a thing that existed in Magic the Gathering. And then more shocked that this wasn't a promo image, that this would be a card, this would be an art that appeared on a card. If you look at the full art on Boseiju Who Endures by Chris Ostrowski, it's staggeringly beautiful. Boseiju Who Endures is a legendary land that taps for a green and has channel of a colorless and a green, and discard it to destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land an opponent controls. That player may search their library for a land card with a basic land type, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. Obviously a very good Magic card. The art is even better. The art is incredibly beautiful. As soon as you see this art, you're like, oh, I get it. The combination of the technology of the skyline and the sort of ambient light and mist from the city rising up through the roots of Boseiju into its boughs with those same sort of message scarves tied into the branches. It gave me this feeling of what the set was. I understood the entire oeuvre of Kamigawa by looking at this art.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the art outside of the card, like if you see the whole painting, I think that it adds a lot more to it as well, because you actually see the city underneath, not just the skyline, and you have these crazy neon pops of color that go into this more ominous sort of, like you were saying, misty / cloudy environment with the tree. And I think it just adds this really, really interesting dynamic.
And I think it goes to showcase just how good an idea it was to do that old and new kind of coming together, because you see the old and the new really showcased here. The branches coming down is just absolutely terrific, and looks sweet, and you get a feeling of sort of what I can hear the wind. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of feeling I get from this piece. You can feel how the branches would shake above this giant city, but that's also what's so cool about it. It's a giant tree above a giant city. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, for for my number 1, it was the same as Nerd Girl's number 1. And this was I did the very same thing. When I said, hey, we're doing the artworks, I said, okay, it's my number 1. We're going to go down from here because it is absolutely freaking ridiculous. And I love it. And I don't think I've ever seen, I know it's the gangster set, but I've never seen anything quite as gangster as this. Nerd Girl, tell them about what our number 1 is.
Our number 1 is... Oops, it refreshed.
Uh-oh, it's there.
It's the new Obnixilis art. Obnixilis the Adversary.
The showcase, pinstripe, chillin', holding the freaking drink with the hand.
Is that also yours, Nerd Girl?
So mine is not the showcase. Mine is the base version.
Oh, nice. Well, even better. Let's do both.
Yeah. So you talk about yours first, and then
All right.
we'll move on.
Oh, sure. Well, mine is from the Igor Kurulik version, which I think is just so cool. Like it's cool. This is like, draw me cool. This is cool. Like it's just, there is I don't know, like a cockiness there. There's a sureness there. Like he's aware that he is the king and is, imposing whatever he wants to do. Like, when you're with somebody like this it reminds me of that question of, like when you have to say you're the alpha, you're not the alpha. Like
right.
Ob Nixilis never has to say he's the boss. He's just the boss. That's what I get from that.
Definitely agree. I chose the stock version because when you take a look, I mean, his art is just amazing, super detailed in the card. But if you get a chance to take a look at the full art, the long version, he actually has Lord Xander that he has murdered, and he's holding on to him, and he just has this most super boss. I'm trying not to curse here, but I have never seen a piece of art that was so intense with just adding that little bottom snidbit. Like you see him like this and you're like, oh, that's the Lord of the New Capenna underworld. And then you get that extension of the art and you just see Lord Xander just done. Holy smokes. This art is intense.
It's sweet.
Yes. It is a Renaissance painting. It is Thanos having killed Loki. It is incredibly intense. It offers a frighteningness that is worthy of Ob Nixilis' title as the adversary. The pinstripe art doesn't have that fright, but it has that demeanor. It has the cocksure charisma that you need after you've done. This is a different Ob Nixilis, right? This is Ob Nixilis after he's gotten to a portion of the power that he's hoping for. Whereas you've got the intense in the moment Ob Nixilis. This is the post game. All right, you don't want to end up like Lord Xander. Kiss the rings, kind of situation. And both of them are spectacular.
Yeah, they really crushed it with Ob Nixilis this set.
The body language of Xander's, not language, but the how it was laid out is very, like you said, Renaissance. I could see this being a sculpture. And like the look in his face, it's just a lot more intense than I would have expected for Magic. Like even with Strangle, it looks almost cartoony, whereas this is scary.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that was our top 10 Neo and SNC artworks. You'll see them on screen right now for your review. Take a look at my list, Nerd Girl's list, Ruben's top 10, and we want to hear from you about what card we did not talk about. And we'll select our favorite to win $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com. But before we go, I want to thank my co-host. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. And when you make your comments for honorable mentions, be sure to note the artist.
Yes. We will not, like if you say showcase variant, we might not get the right one.
Might be the wrong one.
And that'll be weird. So make sure you list the artist. All right. Go to our final slide here. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com and AlterSleeves.com, my co-host, MTG Nerd Girl and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.